Okay, in this interview, we have Gerald Celente. Gerald Celente is a very well-known commentator on social issues, politics, economic issues. In fact, I first found about Gerald when I was 19 years old, freshman in college. My dad showed me Gerald's work. So we're excited to talk to Gerald today, and we're going to be discussing his views on everything going on in the world. He is also the publisher of Trends Journal, which is giving incredible research on the trends that we see in politics, global affairs, and global economies. So you can check that out at trendsjournal.com. So if you enjoy this video, please be sure to hit the like button right over there. And right over there on this side, I might look a little tired, and it's because yesterday my wife just gave birth to our beautiful little baby girl. So have a great day. I hope you enjoy this video. It really is fantastic. Make sure you hit the like button on this side or this side to make sure more people see it. And do leave a comment down below and let me know what you think to help out the YouTube algorithm. All right, today we have Gerald Celente, and I've been following Gerald for about 10 years. I was 19, and I was telling Gerald before I came across Gerald's work from my father, and that led me to rethinking my entire life. So it's a pleasure to have you on today, Gerald.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, so I got to ask here, and I've been doing it more recently. You seem like you're in a very upbeat mood, and it seems like you always got lots of beautiful plants, and you always got your little beat going on. So tell me one thing right now before we drop in. What's one thing that you're grateful for or enjoying right now in your life?
Well, what I'm grateful for, of course, is where I come from. My parents, may their souls rest in peace. And the enjoyment that I have is I create my own world. And that's what I've done where I am. I live in Kingston, New York. And if you put in Google in Kingston, most historic four corners in America, I own 3 buildings on the most historic corner, 3 pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings. And I bought them. I was looking to leave the country at one time. And I've been around a lot of places. Back in 2010, I got fed up with everything. And making a very long story short, after visiting Germany, I realized that you can't run away. There are 2-bit freaks everywhere. How could they, so this is my country. And I bought these buildings because the seeds of democracy was sown here. This was the first capital of New York State. And the Constitution that was written for New York State, over 80% of America's Constitution comes from that. And John Jay was the first Supreme Court judge, was a judge right over here, right a stone's throw away from me. So I'm grateful for all that I have. And I also had a rally here for the 4th of July. It was to unite for peace and to restore freedom. And Judge Napolitano was the guest speaker. So what I'm most grateful for is all that I have, and that I create my world to be free. I don't tell other people what to do. Don't tell me what to do. Have a good time. And you said, I'm upbeat. My heart is broken right now, to be quite honest with you. My business is to look ahead. That's what I've been doing now for 40 years. I'm a visionary. And the vision of the future that I see is very sad unless we change it to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. So that's the way I am right now. I used to listen to music all day long. I love old jazz, that real rock and roll, and it just began to happen in the late 40s, early 50s, and a lot of other rock and roll. But now I can't even listen to music. It doesn't warm my heart anymore because I see this going down in ways that if we don't lift it up and join together to restore liberty, love, joy, and beauty, it's not going to be a good trip forward.
Come on, Gerald. We got to get you listening to that music again, man.
We have to change this. People have to unite for a higher spirit, as I see it. And the motto of the Trends Journal is think for yourself. So I don't tell anybody what to think, but as a visionary, I'm very concerned right now. And one of the ways that I see it changing, and we all go through our ups and downs in lives, is you have to get in the best shape you can, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. You have to build yourself as strong as you can. And when you have that confidence in yourself, then enough move forward, because it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men, said Samuel Adams. And that brush fire of freedom is ready to burn.
So let's talk about that. I feel the same way as you. I've shed probably more tears this year than any year, maybe in my life combined. So I can really emphasize with you. You're clearly a very intuitive. You're very in touch, and you've also got this vision. So let's talk a little bit about, it is demoralizing. And one of the reasons I like to start with what are you grateful for is because when I decided to start doing these types of interviews, especially coming from the personal development space, I noticed there's a lot of people that are so smart and so awake with what's going on in the world, but they're so angry and depressed, and it's rightfully so. And so I wanted to start there to hear about the things you had to say. But when I look around at what's happening right now, it does make me feel like, part of me feels like there really isn't any hope because so many people are asleep at the wheel. So let's talk about, if you were in charge or you were rallying the troops, what do you think needs to happen for us to get to this type of world that you see as a visionary? What are the things that need to happen for my little girl that's about to be born to truly have a better world to live in?
As I said, it's for each of us to get in the best shape we can. And I just went through a crisis, without going into detail, a business thing where someone I trusted for many, many years really did a dirty deal on me. So rather than going down and drinking, which I've done before, I doubled up on my workouts. I doubled up on my diet. Matter of fact, the first book I worked on was called Natural Healing.
Oh, wow.
Back in 1986. And my former wife, may she rest in peace, had ulcerative colitis, and they're going to take out her anus and her intestines and put in a bag. And we went on a whole crusade on, how to heal naturally, and she did, totally. And back then, it was criminal to think of alternative medicine. And I also have an honorary doctorate from the National University of Health Sciences for the work I've done over the years. So when I say that, I mean it. That you have to double down on what you're doing now to rise higher, because the fight's on, game's over. And as you see, I have tears coming out of my eyes, but I'm also a close combat black belt. I used to have my own school for many years. So if somebody tries to do anything to me, game's over. It's no joke here. So, but that's part of being a Napolitano born in the Bronx. You go from A to Z with no stopping in the middle. That's part of our culture. And you can see the plants I have around me. I have about 200 plants in my office, and I take care of every one of them. And I even clean the place. I get my mind off doing things. So I surround myself with beauty. I have gardens. I make, I grow my tomatoes, my peppers, make enough sauce for the whole year. So you do those kind of things to lift yourself up. When you have that strength, we put our minds together for the greater good. Right now, they've sucked the joy out of life. We got to bring it back. And I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate at 26 years old. I've been with presidents, prime ministers. I've been around. It's easy to change the system if enough people unite for a higher cause. People are disgusted with what's going on. I mean, can you imagine it's election day in America and people fight among or between each other? I'm voting for a lesser of two evils. Wait a minute. You mean you support evil? Oh, yeah, but it's not, that evil isn't as bad as, no, evil is evil. You got it? No, I don't get it at all. I'm voting for a lesser of two evils, and if you don't vote, then you get what you deserve. No, wait a minute. If I do vote, I get an evil. And I don't like evil. Don't hang out with them. Don't do business with them. I'd have, wish I didn't know it. If I knew it, wouldn't do it. So we have to rise to a much higher level And that seems to be out of the entire mainstream picture. And I will give you an example. There's a thing going on now. Oh, yeah, it's called the Covent War, we call it. It was launched about in February. Actually, Black Friday. That was the day, March 13th. March 13th, Black Friday, the day that they call the state of emergency in America. And what was the first thing people did? To show you where the people are and where we have to go. They ran out and bought toilet paper. They filled their carts with toilet paper. What the hell's the matter with you? You're afraid of something's going to happen and you're fighting over toilet paper? So, what's absent in the media is who's dying from the COVID. Well, the facts are there, 50% on average, elderly people with chronic disease from elder care homes, nursing homes. Who else? Oh, type 2 diabetics, obesity, lung disorder, heart disease. All chronic illness. We have the data in our Trends Journal, just the hard facts, the data, not made up stuff. Can't figure out why Americans are dying like that. They're in such great shape. Only 42% are obese. Oh, 70% of the whole nation is overweight, of that 42% obese. They're eating junk. So what the media's not doing is saying, get in shape, build up your immune system, get strong. That has to be the message to me to change it at so many different levels.
I don't think you could have said it better. And I think that that's really important, especially, like I said, you know, in kind of your niche and our niche. There's a lot of people that are aware of what's going on, but it makes them so angry. And I think what you're pointing to is we have to raise our energy, our consciousness, our spirituality, because if we stay on the frequency of fear and outrage in this matrix, then we're right back into the same control system. That's kind of what you're saying?
Exactly. Look, what happened was I went to Berlin. We were opening up the Trends Journal there, and I'd never been there before. Have you been to Berlin?
I have not, no.
You've been to Paris?
I haven't been anywhere in Europe. Okay.
Berlin was grander than Paris before they bombed it out. And I'm having a beer after they're driving me all around. You know, here's East Berlin. Blah, blah. And it's 2012, April 17th. And I'm looking across the street. Sidewalks are wide enough. We're sitting at a cafe table, 5 deep. Place to walk, place to bicycle. Median, beautiful median, trees. Across the street, I'm looking at a beautiful German building, maybe 1880. And I noticed everywhere I went, I see a beautiful building and all new construction. Beautiful building, all new construction. What took thousands of years to be built was destroyed in a matter of a couple of years in the 40s. And I said to myself, in the 1930s, the Germans were at the height of Western civilization. Scientifically, philosophically, culturally. So I said, I've spent a lot of time in both Paris, and a lot of time in Paris. And Berlin was grander than Paris before, in my vision, before it was bombed out. I said, how can they let this happen? The war was going to come to an end. Why didn't the people rise up and stop it before everything was destroyed? And that's why I bought these buildings, because I realized there's nowhere to run. I'm an American. I'm born to be free. Don't tell me what to do. Love it or leave it. No, you leave it. So, going back to the COVID war, just how the people heiled Hitler, marched to Mussolini, and saluted Stalin, they're doing the same exact thing now. Like that. Like that. They obeyed orders. Lockdown. Stay home. Put on that mask. We're going to get you vaccinated. Take your kid out of school. Teach him at home. I'm in charge. I'll tell you what to do. I'm the executive order. Bill of Rights, Constitution means nothing to me. The people are doing the same thing they did before. They march to orders. Every German that I know, and like guys and women my age, a little younger, who's had parents and aunts and uncles and grandparents that fought in the war or in the war at times, they are all ashamed of themselves. Every German I've ever met, they're ashamed that they didn't do anything to stop the destruction of their country. It's a fact. You look, how could anybody with a brain bigger than a pea Heil Hitler? I'll tell you who. The same ones like the Italians that bowed down to Conte. That we have our dictator over here in New York, Cuomo. You got your gruesome over there, Newsom. I'll tell you what to do. How many deaths do you have over there in California? What, about 9,000, 10, something like that?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
9,000 out of how many people? Oh, only 40 million. 9,000. March, April, May, June, July. 9,000 people. Hey, how many people died of drinking that poison water over there in Flint and around the country? Yeah. Hey, you like those pesticides in your food? Oh, they're great for you. I know, the artificial colors really get you high. Oh, you like those GMOs? No, I want more chemicals. I like more chemicals. But hey, that COVID's going to kill me. I'll change my whole life for it. But you could kill me any other way you want. And I won't say a word.
I have said the same thing to my wife, how bizarre it is that the level of fright, but the level of ignorance that continues to make the same people even more unhealthy probably than they were. People probably gained more weight than before. They're exercising less. So that's very interesting. But let me ask you this. I had Bill Holter on pretty recently. Do you know Bill?
Yes, I know of him, yeah.
Okay, so Bill, it was pretty interesting. I was doing some research before my interview with Bill, and I found an interview of him in July. So let's see, it's 2020. So this was July 2019. And Bill said the overnight banking system looks like it's on the verge of coming down. I'm anticipating a false flag happening before the end of this year. And this was July 19, right? And then we had the repo stuff start, was that like a fall right around then. So then that starts picking up. And then the COVID started to happen. Do you think that the extent to which this was happening is that there was big cracks going on in the financial system, or what, based off of your big theme is trends? Did this trend, in your opinion, have anything to do with some overarching problems that were starting to surface in the financial system, or not?
I don't know. I don't really look at it like that. Here's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
It broke out in China, right at their Chinese Lunar New Year time, January. The cover of our Trends Journal, January 28th. Coronavirus, 106 dead in China. Our next line was 1.4 billion still alive. New Black Plague. What happened was they closed down right away, made the news right away. We were writing about the Hong Kong demonstrations and protests since they broke out. I've been on Hong Kong TV a number of times. The people were totally fighting this thing against Chinese domination. People from Hong Kong can't stand the mainland Chinese. It's a whole different culture. And they were fighting for their freedom. Then all of a sudden, China starts locking down, and they lock down Hong Kong. And now they've taken it over again. Out of the news, no demonstrations, no protests. They put in all these draconian regulations. They're in charge. Beijing, the deal that they made with the colonists, the UK, that of course they had no business being there either. But the deal they made back in 1997 was that it wouldn't become a part of China until I think it was 40 or 50 years later. And now it's China. So I think China used this, is my thinking. Secondly, and this is a fact, the media pumped this up just like there's a hurricane coming and they get dressed up in their hurricane drag and the wind's blowing and the water's coming over the boardwalk. You could look it up. We wrote about it. Jeff Zucker, the head of CNN, telling his staff at the beginning of this to keep this going. People are tuning in. Their ratings increased 120%. No one was watching this stuff. Their ratings were in the toilet before this broke out, as was MSNBC's. All of it. Nobody cared anymore. They were out of it. So between the media and then, to me, the politicians are on a power trip. That's why you become a politician. There's a great quote from Eisenhower, a 5-star general, supreme commander of the Allied forces, 2-term president, who also warned us about the military-industrial complex. He said, anyone that seeks the office is either an egomaniac or crazy. That's a quote. So that's the way I see it. I don't know if there's a bigger picture about the finances because it's global.
Right.
And the death, they've locked down again big parts of Australia. 25.5 million people. The grand total, 176 deaths. So I don't know, but I do know this. We are going to see an economic collapse, the likes of which we've never seen before. And yes, he was right. It was happening. It was collapsing in June, July of 2019. And I could not only agree with it, you go back to our June 6th trend alert, the gold bull run. We said it just began. Gold was at $1,332 an ounce. We based it on the belief that the Federal Reserve was going to pump more and more money in, and they were going to continue to lower interest rates. And now gold is what? 1950 something.
Yeah, right. I think it's like 1960. I was just looking before. So let's talk a little bit about that gold. And as you said, the likes of the fight, it's at 1967 right now. It's at 1820 today. So let's talk a little bit about that. So first of all, we'll get into gold, but you say but you're talking about financial crash. Most people seem to think that we kind of have seen it's kind of done, and that we're going to limp our way into the election, and then everything will be, gravy. Stocks haven't collapsed. So give me your biggest trend or forecast on how you see this playing out the rest of the year. It seems like it's pretty clear we're in a melt up and everything's kind of going like this. And so everyone's like, oh, look, it's fine. See? And, a melt up is a very convenient way to kind of lull people to sleep. Yep. So what are you seeing here out of this through the rest of this year? And I mean, it's obvious it seems as though it's obvious we're going to get another stimulus package. Otherwise, we might have double the buildings burning here pretty soon. But what do you see coming down the fork here in your kind of prediction on how this is playing out?
They're going to do, the Fed and the government are going to do everything they can to keep the equity markets higher. It's a given. Because all the people that don't know how bad it is, like you just did the perfect one, and they'll get there. This is what everybody said, the people that believed that when they started closing down everything. Oh, it'll come back. Oh, it'll come back. It's not coming back. This thing is crashing down harder than we can ever imagine. These people don't know how bad it is. It'll come back. The only way they will know that is when the headlines read, markets crashed. Oh, whoa. because they look up to the people on Wall Street. They don't have stock. These people are brilliant to them. Oh, if the market's in trouble, Wall Street's in trouble, we're in trouble. Main Street's in trouble. So they're going to do what they can to keep propping up the markets. It's artificially being inflated. We've been writing about digital money now for 3 years. And as we call it, they're going to say, you don't want that dirty cash. We're going to give you digital trash.
Right.
And so that's what we see happening. And I believe this is the greatest depression. This is unprecedented in history. Every place is dead. Every place is dead. Oh, you Yelp. What did they come out with? Say only 50% of the businesses won't reopen, the restaurant businesses. And then the supply chain, by the way, they got some guys doing work over. They can't get pressure treated lumber. They can't get 6-inch screws. They can't get. The supply chains are empty. This thing is going down so hard, and it's global. It's global. Here's what I see as the future, and this is why I'm so concerned. History is repeating itself. Go back to the 1930s. Had a market crash, currency war, trade war, Great Depression, World War II. Markets, they're going to crash. They'll keep the game up going as much as they can, but the reality is there. How do stocks go up when everything is going down? Oh, there's a currency war going on already. How those Chinese keep lowering the value of their yuan because they want to export more product. Trade war, every other day you hear it in the news. Greatest Depression, to me it's already begun. World War III. When all else fails, they take you to war. History shows us. And this war will be the war that when they asked Albert Einstein, a cat that knew a little thing or two about weapons, and they asked him what kind of weapons will be used to fight World War III, he said, I don't know. He said, but they'll be using sticks and stones to fight World War IV. That's my great concern.
Yeah.
As I said, just as you see the people march off to the COVID war so obediently, the data is there about face masks and how the World Trade Organization and how CDC and how the New England Journal of Medicine, the data is all there. Said not to wear them, how ineffective they are. And even that the fearmonger Fauci, the expert of America, go back to March, he said not to wear them.
Did you see, it was about a half hour before our interview, he just did an interview on Instagram Live, and he said that we're probably going to have to start wearing eye protection because he thinks that you could get the virus through your eyes.
Yeah. I want to keep the show clean, but you can get it somewhere else too.
So let me ask you, it seems like they'll keep this melt up going. I personally, my guess is that it will at least go through towards the end of the year and things like that. But probably 2021, was probably really when gravity kind of sets in a little bit more, and we start seeing a downswing. You've talked forever about gold, and what is your thoughts on? I saw something interesting. Robert Kiyosaki tweeted yesterday. He's out of gold. He said it's not going to go any higher. And I thought that was the most bizarre thing that I had ever heard. What do you see coming down the pipeline with gold and silver? I mean, I've heard, everyone's got their own take. What do you think seeing coming down the pipeline over the next couple years with gold and silver?
I see gold going well over 2,000. As I said, that's what my forecast was back in June. When I said when it breaks over 1440, it was at 1332, and solidifies over that, it's going to start heading toward 2,000, and that's what happened. I think it's going to go well over 2,000, and I believe that silver is going to spike much higher and much faster when gold gets much stronger. And the other thing is that why would anybody want this, again, this digital money backed by nothing and printed on nothing that they're putting out there and artificially propping up economies with? They're devaluing their currencies. You know, it's look at the debt level in the United States when the year began. Everyone, oh, it's maybe $1 trillion this year, maybe, and now they're talking $4 trillion. And it's every country. They're all the debt levels are gigantic. So to me, you know, I respect what he's saying. And again, the motto of the trend, you know, he may be right, but I don't see it like that. I see gold going much higher because this economy is going to, it's crashed already. It's being, as you said, it's melting up. You know, they just keep blowing up the bubble and all over the world. You know, China's markets are going up. The Chinese governments, they're dumping money like crazy into the markets and into the economy, trying to push it back up. Japan, same thing. Negative interest rates in Europe. Oh, yeah, why would I want to buy gold when I could put a 30-year or 10-year bond, and when I cash it in, I'll get less money than what I paid for it? Makes perfect sense. Well, of course, why would I want gold or silver? And the other thing about silver is that important. Two more things. Not only as its precious metal in a monetary sense, there's no stockpiles of silver. Once you throw your cell phone out or your keyboard, and I don't carry a cell phone, don't own one. I got a crummy old one, a flip one.
Oh gosh, you're my idol.
That I put in my car, and I'm not going out that much. But anyway, your keyboard. Silver is the greatest energy conductor, far superior than copper. So there's no stockpiles of silver. Once you use it, you dump it. It's in the dump. And it's needed for technology. So that's the value. So, and photovoltaic cell, you know, on and on. So silver has that usage as well. Once I see gold really solidifying in the 2,000, 2,100 mark, I see silver going up much higher in percentage growth. I could see silver easily at $100 an ounce at some point within the next few years, and even possibly in the $40 range this year.
And I think what you said is, I mean, that's what most people don't understand about silver. And Keith Neumeyer, he's the CEO of First Majestic Silver, one of the larger mining stocks. He calls it a strategic metal for that reason. Yeah, and that's good. What most people don't understand. He said that he sat down with the heads of Samsung and he said they were terrified that people will realize how short the market is and front run them, because it could put them out of business and they'll have to start buying the silver mines instead of letting the companies mine them. So I thought that was pretty fascinating. So a lot of talk also, and Kiyosaki was basically saying he was dumping gold for Bitcoin. What do you think about Bitcoin? It's becoming, you know, more and more and more popular. What are your thoughts on it? I have probably 85% of my net worth in gold and silver. And I have, in case I'm wrong, I have like, I don't know, a couple percent, maybe 1.5% of my net worth in Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on that? That's obviously, you know, it was kind of lulling to sleep, but it kind of made a little move back up. What do you think about it?
I'm exactly, you know, with what you're at with gold, silver, and Bitcoin in my investments. And again, I don't give financial advice. I think Bitcoin definitely has a place. And it's because of the same people that are buying gold and silver, but it's a different generation, a different mindset. They're buying Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin began its rise, I believe it was around 2016, just to my recollection, 16, 17. Chinese are buying it up because they had a big crash in 2015 in the equity markets. And the yuan was really slumping. And they were getting out of the yuan and they were going into Bitcoin. Big time. And then the Chinese government banned them from buying it. So that's what I see happening. I see people that are looking for alternatives to go into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I definitely believe it's a place, and the mindset will accept it as the world goes digital and they eliminate currencies. And they're going to come up with new currencies. That's the way they're going to get rid of the debt. They get rid of the dollar. They get rid of the yen. They'll get rid of the yuan, the lira, the
Do you think that will happen in our lifetime? Like
absolutely.
Do you think they'll just one day on a Sunday say, look, after one time when the dollar just falls through the floor, they'll just say, hey, look, we got a new digital thing now. You think that's how it'll happen?
Yeah. And well, they'll blame somebody. Look, I mean, people ask me about gold and they say, what should I do with it? I say, get it as far away from where anybody could ever get it. Why? Well, there was a thing called in 1933, what Franklin Roosevelt did. He forced the people to turn over the gold to the government. And my father, may he rest in peace, tells me a story about my grandfather. May he rest in peace. He said, your grandfather had a lot of gold. And he was a real patriot, my grandfather. He came from Italy. He was so proud to be an American. First guy online to go voting every year. And when FDR said to go, he sees my grandfather packing up all those. He said, just don't do it. Don't give it to him. My grandfather, no. So they stole your gold for $26 or around there, an ounce. And as soon as they thought they got everybody's, but it was $33 an ounce was the official price. So they just screwed the people once again. And I think they'll do the same thing now. They will try to get all the gold that they can, all the silver that they can. They'll go digital as much as they can. And as it goes more digital, we're in the digital world. It's a whole new world. One of my books was Trends 2000. I was writing about the future. The book, I wrote it in 1996. And you look at where we are. In 1996, the internet world was just coming into play. You couldn't have what we're doing right now. If you want to even see a movie or anything on the internet back then, you'd see the figures move like this. There's a whole new world. It's all changed. Now you have people working at home or online learning. I call that interactive U back then, interactive university, because the system we have now was invented by the Prussians, during the industrial age to get people to read, write, do math, and follow orders. But the point that I'm making, it's as different now in 2020 as it was in 1920 to 1890. Airplanes, refrigeration, automobiles in 1800s. So we're going into a whole new tech world of many different ways. The good and the bad of it. And to me, is a lot of the bad of it more than the good of it. But so people will be used to digital. They will be used to having currencies that they can't touch, see, or feel. So that's why I believe there's a place for cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you, for someone listening to this, let's talk a little bit. You began talking about what you think is the most important thing is we need to raise our consciousness. We need to raise our own energy. We need to take control of our own health and our own happiness and be doing these things every day, eliminating all the crap from our diets, getting our exercise in, getting our other things that build us up. We're going to get you back listening to music. What are some other things that we should be doing as individuals right now? I know you say you don't tell people what to think, but what are the things that you think are important to consider?
I think survival is very important. And that's why we're writing about it. You learn how to fight, I was the littlest kid all the time. I was the first online. I was the shortest kid. I grew up born in the Bronx, lived there many years. You didn't go home crying. You learned how to fight. And you better learn how to fight. And in the fight, and one of our contributors is Brad Steiner, close combat guy who taught my close combat teacher, John Perkins, attackproof.com. And not that John Perkins, this is a good John. I don't know. This is a different cat. And the first thing they teach you, first thing, get rid of your ego. There's no place for your ego in your life. The only time your ego comes into place is when your life is on the line. That's when your ego comes in. So if you have feelings about things and belief systems that are driven by your ego, this is what I believe and that's why it's true, rather than looking at the facts, you're not going anywhere. So the first thing is let go of your ego. Do I say that I let go of my ego all the time? Of course not. I'm a human. But I try to. It makes you listen more, makes you open your mind up more. And that's what trend forecasting is. I have to look what's going on. I want the facts. I don't care what you believe. I don't care. I know Mary was a virgin, Buddha was born on a lotus blossom, and Moses came down with 10 commandments. I got it. But I'm not interested in that. So, and number two, you better learn how to protect yourself. As I say, when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And you're seeing them losing it all over the country. Violence, crime is escalating everywhere. I'm not making this up.
Right.
The numbers are there. So I would say you better be armed. In any way you want, do what you want, fine with me. I don't care if it is going to change like that. It's changed. Look at the protests. Look how violent they could be coming. Look at the violence going on. The numbers are there. The murder rates are going up all over. New York City, Chicago, all over. So, survival. Are you prepared for okay, if it really comes, when it comes down really bad, all right, you may never have me on again after I say this. I would say when it happens again, you don't go out and buy toilet paper. You don't need toilet paper. You got it. Once upon a time, not too long ago, people knew how to clean themselves without toilet paper. So, prepare for survival. Do you have the water, the clean water you're going to need and being able to get it? Are you going to have they used to make fun of preppers. They're not making fun of them anymore. As I say, guns, gold, and a getaway plan. And that to me is what's very essential now. You better learn what to do to protect yourself and your loved ones. If it's only you, protect you. You and your loved ones, teach them, show them, join together. You know, the thing about in close combat, the first thing you want to do is avoid the fight. They always say, you don't know, okay, how good you think you are. It changes like that. Anything can happen. And having that understanding is you never know where it's going to come and where it's going to come from. There's no form in close combat. And that's what we're in right now. It's going to come at us from all different directions as our lives are changing. Who would have ever believed that a virus would have changed the world like nothing ever has? So what I'm saying, there's other things that are going to happen. Be aware. And most importantly, think for yourself. Only get the facts, only get the knowledge, and then you decide. And that's what we try to do with the Trends Journal. We put the facts down. We put out trend forecasts, trend posts. And this is what we see. This is what we happen. Based on this, and this, you do what you want. So that's the major thing. People have to become themselves. They have to appreciate and honor the God-given spirit that was given to them. Because if you don't respect yourself. I have a definition of hell. Hell for me is taking that last breath and knowing you weren't the person you said you were or could have been.
It's a good one.
So again, the tears come from my heart and my soul because I feel and see the danger ahead. So when I talk about survivalism, I'm talking about from very, very different levels and dimensions. And for the people to rise up, to come together in liberty, love, joy, and beauty. You know, there's a thing called the Renaissance. It happened after the Black Plague. Some 60% of Europe was wiped out. I wonder why. Because the people were killing themselves with the way they were living. And following the Black Plague was the Renaissance. They realized Renaissance, a renewal, looking back to when it was grander. Alla Romana, alla Antica. They used to say when they created something beautiful, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients, to create the beauty that they created. Look how low we've gone in this country. I have photographs of my parents' wedding, 1934. Everybody so elegant. They were laborers, worked in fish stores, factories, dignified. Look at the people today. I look at the people online waiting to get their vaccinations or whatever, and or get their tests. And you look at the way they dressed. You look at their bodies. How could they do this to themselves? So to me, we need a renaissance. We have to appreciate the greatness of art and beauty, joy and love. And to me, it's not going to change until we understand that it was better before than it is now.
And I think it's really well said. I told you, I've built my business and everything I've done through the personal development industry. And the reason I got into it is because I was so angry and I was so upset about all these things that we were discussing. And that ultimately led me to question everything. Then I discovered that I'm a soul. I'm a spiritual being in a physical body. And then that opened everything up. I say, holy cow, I never learned any of this. I can't believe it. And that led me down personal development and all these types of things. And, I think you said it so well, because you can't, Albert Einstein says, right, you can't change a problem on the same level of thinking that created it. We can't, in the same kind of philosophy, is how do you get a system or a government to behave and treat and create a society differently if we aren't even honoring ourselves in any different way? If we do the same crap and we continue to be just as obese and keep getting the crap and keep watching the crap on TV, it can't. And that's why I think personal development is such an important component. And I think you said it so well.
Well, thank you. And you said it as well too. And you said it about crap. Eating crap, taking in crap. So what happens when you eat crap, listen to crap, and believe in crap?
You become a crap magnet.
And the first thing you do when a virus breaks out, you run out and buy toilet paper because you're full of crap.
That's funny. So what do you think is going to happen in the election? What's your personal...
I don't know. I was saying Trump, it was one of my top trends for 2020, Trump 2020 by default of the Democrats, everybody to run against him. but it's up in the air now. To me, you know, I mean, you know, I mean, look at America. Look at the choices we have. Trump or Biden? Oh, great. I love Trump. Great. Take it easy. You know, I could go to a higher level than this. If that's as high as you could go, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to waste my time. So anyway, I think that Trump has still a shot. And what he's going to start doing is blaming the government for shutting down the economy, these governors. And he has to win the swing states. He's not going to win a California or New York. He don't care about that. He has to win Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida. Got to win Texas. Probably win Texas. You know, he has to win the swing states. And what you never underestimate Trump. I'll tell you when I knew Trump was going to win. And we had it now at Trent's Journal, when everyone said he was going to lose. Our May issue, it was a monthly back then. Of course, now it's a weekly because things are changing so quickly. Our May issue was Trump 2016. It was going to defeat Hillary Clinton. What changed it was when they had the debates. And he's on the stage with Jeb Bush. And he walks over to him and puts his arm around him and says, you know, you're a little boy and nothing. And Jeb just stood there like that, right? Basically, he said that not in those words.
Right.
So if the cat came over and put his arm around my shoulder, his arm would be off. Don't touch me. Unless, you know, you're and not a Trump, you know. And I'm a guy that loves beauty. And anyway, Trump's a New Yorker. He knows how to fight. It's a different mentality. New Yorkers have a different mentality. This guy's a fighter in his own way. And he's not going down without a fight. Look how many times this guy's gone bankrupt. Look at the deals that this guy pulls. He becomes president. I took out the domain name and we own the trademark, Presidential Reality Show. He had a reality show champion. That's all it was. That's all it was. It's a reality show now this year it's dead. This would be the major news. Gone. Not a word. Very important. I began my career running political campaigns in Westchester County at a graduate school. I was assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate. That's not the important part. I'm just giving you the background. And I designed and instructed American politics and campaign technology at St. John's University. I know a little thing or two about running campaigns. The reason I rose so quickly is because the people that are in that business are very low. Ain't a bright group of people in that trip, man. Going back to the day, you know when the campaign for president really began? Right after Labor Day. Nobody cares about it before then. So, campaign really haven't begun yet. It'll begin after Labor Day.
Interesting. So let me ask you, you said you had, you know, you've been around and you've been around politics. You said you just did a 4th of July thing. You had Judge Napolito there. You know a lot of people, and you've been doing what you're doing for a long time. You've been hired by a lot of big corporations and over the years and things like that. But you're kind of, and I say this with all respect, you're kind of fringe. You know, some people listen to us and they say conspiracy, but behind the scenes, you know, and you've had a lot of conversations with a lot of folks. Do a lot of types of people that you know that maybe publicly they wouldn't come on an interview like this or something. Behind the scenes, do people know that this thing is really going to blow and that this monetary system is really going to blow and and that we're moving to a surveillance state. Do a lot of the types of powerful people that maybe you've known over the last many years and over the last 40 years of doing your work, do you think that they know what's really happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. I know billionaires. And the thing that you always know, though, is that they don't, particularly in the billionaire class, they don't know a lot. They know what they know, but they don't know a lot. And all they're interested in is in themselves, number one, and number two, number three, number four, down to 10,000. They know how bad it is. They know how bad it is. The ones I know how bad it is. And all the people that I know, the people that I associate with, they all know how bad it is. The people, again, one of our covers of the Trends Journal was USSA, United Soviet States of America. If you don't believe what they believe, then they're going to report you. You have no right thinking for yourself or wanting to have a constitution or a Bill of Rights. That's the force. And that's the major force right now. And the others, the richest class, they're only concerned about themselves. That's why they're out in the Hamptons. That's why they're moving up where I am over here. That's why they're moving in other places around the country, moving out. Commercial real estate's collapsing. It's collapsing in front of our eyes. Oh, what happened this week? Google announced you don't have to come back to work till next July? Maybe? Oh, yeah. All those businesses that rely on people going to work, gone. Hey, how about all that online learning in those college towns now? No students? Ghost towns. Rust Belt 2.0s. The bigger people, when I say it, it's a small circle it knows. It's the Ron Pauls. It's the Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. Excuse me. Oh, that was a COVID cough. You better watch out. You better watch out. It came right through that screen. It's going to hit you. It's going to hit you. Oh, yeah, we got the scientific facts right here. There's no conspiracy theory.
I got to get my goggles. The funniest thing is my wife, she's literally any day. I mean, she may go into labor today, tomorrow. And so she's getting bad acid because the baby's pressing on her stomach. And so, in those times and maybe in your life where you get really bad acid and so you're coughing because of it, she's 9 months pregnant and will walk and she'll have an acid cough and they'll get out of the sidewalk into the street with moving cars to avoid her.
Yep.
Like, you're going to get hit by a car. What are you doing? Like,
I know. I know. So that's where, again, I see people with cars, windows rolled up with a mask on. The streets are empty, walking down the street with a mask on.
I saw someone
because that virus is hiding behind a hill over there, It's right under the tree.
So, Gerald, give us in conclusion, what's your prediction on the most important trends to watch right now? What's today? July 29th. So through the rest of 2020 and 2021, what are the most important trends we should be looking at?
Well, first of all, there's no such most importance. It's all connected.
Okay.
So here's what I would tell people to do. Every day, follow the equity markets. Follow the price of gold and silver. Follow the price of oil and copper. Oil and copper. Oil you need, for everything. And copper, they call it Dr. Copper because you use copper from high tech to heavy industry. So watch those prices. See where they're going. Number two, follow the current events geopolitically. Keep staying abreast of what's going on in the Middle East, heating up again in Libya. Watch what's going on in Israel. They're demonstrating against Netanyahu. Again, when all else fails, they take you to war. Iran, Israel, United States. Watch what's going on there. Venezuela. Those are the keys. China. United States more and more talk coming out with Pompeo against China. Again, when all else fails, they take it to war. Number 3, keep learning about the details of the COVID war. There's no conspiracy, anything in this. Just look at the facts and then decide for yourself. Those are the issues to really stay on top of. And tune out of the mainstream news. Just as you don't want to eat junk food, you don't want to digest junk news. And that's all they sell you. So it's damaging your brain just like junk food damages your body. Keep seeking out and go, when I go online, I go to Fars News Agency to see what's going on in Iran. I go to Haaretz to go see what's going on in Israel with Israeli Times, or I go to Global Times in China Daily. I go around the world to see what's going on. Al Jazeera, Arab News. I go around the world. Go around the world. As we were saying before, when you were telling me about all the traveling you did before we went on the air, and I said someone traveled all around the world when they had the Iron Curtain up and China was still communist China. And she was so remarkable. I said to her, I can't believe all that you know. And she looked at me and she said, in all my travels, I've learned one thing. There are 2 kinds of people that stay home and people that leave home. So if you can't do it physically, do it in your mind. Leave home. You're not in high school anymore. Learn about the world. And, of course, the Trends Journal, that's what we try to do. We tell you what's going on, what it means, and what's next. So learn how to think for yourself and see the future. It's very, very, very important. And in looking at the future, you have to see how the current events are forming future trends. In today already walks tomorrow.
Fantastic. So everybody head over to trendsjournal.com. I'm a subscriber there myself.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll make sure that we go over there and subscribe. But you got to do us one thing. You got to start listening to that music again, Gerald.
I'm trying. I love that boogie beat, Matter of fact, it's a great song. I wanted to run for president this year, but the way things worked out, it's not working out. Vote for Mr. Boogie. Like a 1946 song, Vote for Mr. Boogie. He'll put rhythm in the White House and all the squares are gotta go. And listen, congratulations, all the best to you, your wife, and your new bambina. We wish you all the very best.
Thanks, Gerald. Absolutely. Yeah, we'll do another one once we get a little bit closer to the action later this year.
Love to. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I truly appreciate it. And it was great to get to talk a little bit more about keeping our vibe up and all that other good, fun stuff that sometimes is missed in some interviews. So I appreciate that we got to go there.
Well, thank you. And also, our other site is occupypeaceandfreedom.com.
Oh, I didn't know you.
Occupy Peace and Freedom.
Okay, I'll put that in the link too.
And you can see the Judge Napolitano's talk in our beautiful Crown Garden. And I called out the governor. I said, come on and stop us. Come on and stop. Oh, don't bring your other boys. You come over and try to stop me. We're going to do it. And we did it. And we got a lot of flack for it. Could care less. So I'm a warrior for the Prince of Peace. I think the guy became violent when he chased the money changers out of the temple. He picked up that whip. So what I'm saying is, and you were talking about what the Federal Reserve and the banksters are doing to us. So it's time to be a warrior for peace and freedom is the way I see it.
Amen. I'm with you. You're leading it. You're leading by example. So let's get everyone to get their workouts in and open up their dumpster bin and throw away half their stuff in their cabinets and refrigerator, and we'll go from there.
Okay. All the best. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, Cheryl.